introducing Prabhupada this and Prabhupada that. But just, I remember devotees often saying, because it's Vyasa Puja, Prabhupada is coming after Janmashtami, some devotees say, oh, I had my Vyasa Puja yesterday already. Like example, what happened yesterday here, festivals are always chaotic, and you cannot avoid that. There's always a certain level of chaos which is automatically built in. It's just the new managers are sometimes nervous, so much chaos, and the old manager goes, that's too little, you didn't even start it. Can get much worse, So the way how the senior devotees were handling the situation yesterday, jumping into action wherever the need was, that's Vyasa Puja. That's it. You cannot do this without being empowered by Prabhupada. Without not being connected to Prabhupada, you will just go Hare Krishna, oh, I am so great, Hare Rama, No, being connected to Prabhupada, you start to act on the call of the need. Because Prabhupada gives this really powerful example in Bhagavad Gita. A pure devotee is like a wheel in a machine. And when that wheel is exactly placed and well oiled, it clicks exactly to the need. Being connected to the other wheels, and these wheels are connected to these wheels, and all together, it's a far out machinery going on. It's a little bit mechanical, the example. It's kind of sounds almost impersonal. No. This is our constitutional position. To come in tune with Prabhupada and become like, and Prabhupada tunes it all in. These are the pieces of yesterday of this, This goes, there's a devotee doing the needful. As this goes, he goes the needful. This is Prabhupada orchestrating. It's like in an orchestra, those who are musicians, they know. It's not easy to conduct 120-man orchestra with different instruments, different natures, different, it's not easy. But there's one conductor. And he is just, now you play, you are quiet, you play, now you come out, you play this, like that. So when we understand Prabhupada being the chief conductor, then even our little trumpet solo, will suddenly have a meaning. When it comes in the right time, according to the need, you may think, well, can I play with my little trumpet, But when the chief conductor, when we come and tune it in, then suddenly our little becomes something very meaningful, because it's connection with the other instruments. So we hear so much talk about unity, so much talk about cooperation, but if it's not inspired by devotion to Prabhupada, and everybody in one sense is Prabhupada disciple. That's what my god brother said. Oh, the ethics are not so wrong. And they say, only Prabhupada. I just forgot everything. This only Prabhupada means that you have to be connected to Prabhupada by a living spiritual master. That's the meaning of a spiritual master, and that's also the meaning of initiation. Otherwise, what's the meaning? If you are not connected, then you will connect it to something. Like another example is pretty gross, but it's an example of a train. If you are not connected to the next wagon, and that wagon is not connected to that wagon, and that wagon is finally connected to the steam engine in front, then you just connect one wagon to the other. So what? They are both standing in the countryside, not going anywhere. So you think, I'm connected. Well, make sure that that wagon in front of you is connected too. Prabhupada didn't encourage any sentimentality. He even said, you don't have to believe me. He said, but you must believe the Veda. You must believe Krishna. So Prabhupada was ferocious, demanding absolute loyalty to the Shastra, to the words of Krishna, to himself. And fortunately, that's our fortune, and that's actually the only credit we can take. That somehow we got hooked up. Somehow. We didn't even know how to hook up. We just somehow connected to somebody who is connected. I mean, you cannot imagine how lucky we are. We completely in an unconscious state of mind. When you remember how you joined, you just marched in the door and kind of forgot to go home, Or maybe you were so fried, you said, no, I don't want to go home. That was the only credit we have. There's nothing more to it. It's the only credit we got. Somewhere, at the right time, we forgot to go home. I mean, home to material home. Somewhere we forgot to leave. That's every Vyasa Puja I feel like this. What am I doing here? How is it possible? This is a Vyasa Puja like number 42, I think, for me, or 43. Or how is it possible? And you wonder more and more. And more and more you think, why didn't I leave? So many opportunities to leave. So much temptation and call. Hey, why don't you do this, and do that, and do this? Somehow I didn't manage. I forgot, it's not possible. I wouldn't even know how. If somebody can you please bloop from Krishna consciousness? I would say, yeah, but doing what? It's so wonderful when you get old, you are finished even from a material point of view. What do I have to do? Going out and smiling at girls, girls go. Going to the office and say, give me a job, I want to make a big career. I'm 60 years old, I'm just starting. They will just go. We can give you a donation for a coffin, that we can finance your funeral. That's so-called social welfare. But the rest, you're dead man, you're finished. It's over. Suddenly you realize, my God, that's your mercy. There's one devotee, when the Prabhupada told me once in Namlik, he said, I never want to be young again. It was sounding so honest. For people being ever young, it's like, oh great. For devotees, a horror. Because when you are young, you can in minimum time, collect maximum karma. When you get older, it's a bit harder, but you can try. But it's more embarrassing and more harder. The body simply doesn't cooperate so much. But when you are young, you can go 3 days non-stop and go to hell right away. No problem. So it's terrible to be young and not Krishna conscious. So how did Prabhupada did that? That he caught this young, fleshy, passionate, lusty people and drowned them with Krishna consciousness. Introduce them to exactly opposite what they ever wanted to do. No sex, no intoxication, no meat eating. Meat eating was not a problem. No sex, out of question. And no intoxication, where's the fun? No gambling, yeah okay, I can forget the gambling too, but these two things, how do you do that? No. He even informed the devotees after the initiation. That was, they got all initiated. Yeah, great, they are initiated. Your name is Paramahamsa Das. Great, it sounds fantastic. And now you have to follow these principles. What? Prabhupada said, no, this is initiation, you promised. And they were like, what? What have I done? It's too late. But Prabhupada took that risk, and his personality was such a powerful input, they didn't dare. At least in his presence they didn't dare. Outside of his presence, trouble. But when he was present, nobody dared. And actually this means connected. When Prabhupada was present, believe me or not, the idea that I will be brahmachari and after a while take sannyas and rasa lila and bye-bye, it's very normal. It sounds very common sense. No, it really, I remember that feeling. Everybody was like this. Of course, we go back to Godhead. Bye-bye. The whole movement was in this mood. Bye-bye. Haribol. And when Prabhupada was present, it sounds absolutely common sense. What else is there to do? And in his absence, Maya comes back. As one of my Gurudevas said, Maya corrects the broadcasting channel again. Her broadcasting was kind of just, interrupted by Prabhupada's presence, and in his absence, and Maya goes, maybe it was just an idea. Hey, listen, this is the reality. And she adjusts the channel again, and we are fascinated. Oh, Maya is broadcasting again. Sounds looks so real. And Prabhupada was like, present. In his presence, we laughed at we were making kirtans on nudistic beaches. Just not planned, but just happened. Nobody cared. So what? Bunch of monkeys. Haribol. It was unbelievable in his presence how quickly you were totally lifted from this material field. And we have to sustain that momentum by constantly meditating about him. Prabhupada said, like one devotee, by trying, it was in Mumbai, tried to secure some permission for building of the temple. That's a real thing in India. You go from this office, and it's 40-degree hot heat, and they have this, when they see you coming, they close the counter, closed. And it's only reopened with a certain rupee input, And this is like, devotees going on holidays with offices, desperate. They came back to the temple. There was one devotee like this, dropping in the evening, completely finished. And Prabhupada was just starting giving lecture. And he just enjoyed Radha Madhava, and he knew that Prabhupada could see amongst 100 devotees. He knew each single one. The mind, the heart, and everything. They all said, this is my Prabhupada. Nobody thought, Prabhupada doesn't know. That idea never came up. I met Prabhupada 3 times, but every day I knew Prabhupada is here and he knows. This was the mood of every devotee in this movement, especially those who were engaged in preaching. So this devotee dropped in and he was completely finished. And one of the first things Prabhupada said in the lecture, we have to be always blissful in Krishna consciousness. And he looked at the devotee straight in the eyes and said, even when the authorities don't give permission. And the devotee was, Jai Prabhupada! He realized all this cacophony of these offices and all these stupid, corrupt people he met that day meant nothing. But Prabhupada was here. So in his presence, you got so lifted up to such a level of consciousness that it was almost difficult to relate to the external world. You just couldn't relate to it. And of course, in his absence, then suddenly Maya imposes. The unimportant becomes important, and the important becomes unimportant. It's Maya's agenda. It's very dramatical performance, Maya's. You will die. Yeah, it's not funny to die, but so what? In Prabhupada's service we got shot upon. People were shooting at us, people were beating us, we were just laughing at them. I was sitting in so many police stations telling the chief of the police station, don't be so angry. When you meditate on me all the time, you can become Hare Krishna in this lifetime. It's our philosophy. Believe me or not, that stupid man, I remember that incident, he just looked at me, he was going, out, immediately, out, get out! I was going, of course, thank you very much, and I just left immediately. He it rang the bell on him, this could actually happen. You're preaching to anybody, just like this. When the police rolled over the temple, they packed us in the police buses, driving us to a jail, and we didn't know how long we were going to sit in a jail. We had one of the best kirtans I ever heard in my life. We came out of the police van, the cameras prepared to see the set victims coming out, in chains, It was just bang, the door had opened from the bus and the boys came dancing out, and this. They couldn't publish this pictures in the newspaper. This was just, not even the most brainwashed person in this world can act like this. They couldn't understand one thing. The police was so confused. The more they threatened us, the more blissful we were, and we didn't know ourselves even where that comes from. I remember the day spending in that police house. Even the devotees sometimes who are standing in the Arctic, Our GBs used to call them wallpaper devotees. They are merging with the wallpaper, They were so in ecstasy. I remember a devotee like this coming out of the room, they took our fingerprints, with black hands. And I remember he came out, he was laughing like anything. He said, they think it's me! Ha 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 ha! It was like everybody didn't even know. They shouldn't be happy. We were all heading for jail, And everybody was completely impressed. So this is what happened when Prabhupada was around. That means you get connected. You feel, you get just connected. So this is how important it is to stay in touch with Srila Prabhupada and be connected to him. This is actually our life pipeline. That's actually where we get this life support. And in ISKCON, I don't see much difference between serving Prabhupada, directly, like Prabhupada disciple, and those who are newly initiated. Why not? The same connection. What's the big difference? Maybe you notice I'm not so much fond of this Prabhupada disciple cult, because it's actually a question of being connected or not. It doesn't matter if you are directly initiated by Prabhupada or not. The question is of being connected or not. And that becomes visible in a practical action. It becomes visible. Like again, I go back yesterday to this Janmashtami performance here. I mean, you can see, and the devotees are connected. They just go. You can. But Gabriel was going. It would be interesting how I survived these 2 days. Because for him it's like an endless party. No sleeping maybe, and then normally you go crazy. Or you have to be in material. You have to be very intoxicated to last through such a session. Well, obviously, he didn't took him. He's saying he's still alive, because it's like the first experience of Janmashtami, and then another festival. Maybe there'll be another one. After all, we have only 1-2 days break, and then comes the Sunday feast behind. Wow, how did I survive that? Actually, Prabhupada said in Krishna conscious culture means there is a feast every day. In the Vedic, if you would follow the Vedic really culture, it's every day is a festival. So and you can see, devotees completely just drop out of their bodily casing, this engagement, and start to act. And suddenly you realize, the more I do, the more blissful it gets. And you get attached to that. And that means connected. But Prabhupada said, what is the result of chanting? More chanting. What is the result of service? More service. This is where you realize, no, he's connected. Because he lightens up more, the voltage goes up. And we started our 25 volt, I'm connected. The little bar goes on. Krishna consciousness is so nice. But it's just the beginning. You can't imagine how much voltage is available. When you are connected. The devotees become like beaming atomic bombs. This is all happening. This is what preaching is about. People feel it, they get to feel it. This person is connected to something. This is manifested by bliss, not just by knowledge, by bliss which kind of increase. Nobody can be that sentimental. There's something more. What is this? And this is how people join this movement. They get curious, what is this? These people are obviously not materially enjoying themselves, and they are more blissful. This is what I met in the door, when I came in the door, and I told him, you are blissful, but you will all die. And he was going, yay! Haribol! And then I was going, wow. I never met people who are blissful when they're informed they will die. It's either maniacs, crazy people, or somebody, they have something else. What is this? And that's how we become curious. So this spirit comes from Prabhupada. Despite all material circumstances, his age of his body, and his culture and estrangement, Prabhupada was inspiring the lives of thousands and millions of people, and he's still doing that. So we have nothing else to do is to study Prabhupada and connect people to Prabhupada. And this is actually Vyasa Puja every day. This is just one festival, okay? You do that, it's wonderful. But actually, every day should be a Vyasa Puja. Every day we could write a diary, Dear Srila Prabhupada, today I try to serve you like that. And please help like that. So we consciously follow Prabhupada in our ways of dealing with the material energy. Are we okay?
Haribol?
Are we okay?
No, the offering will go on.
Huh?
The offering will go on now.
This is some input.
I just had a small thing that about this Prabhupada being very, immediate, direct, without formality and like that. I was just listening to this famous conversation he had with this French cardinal. You also heard that it's a far-out conversation, where Prabhupada gets into talk about meat eating and thou shalt not kill. And it's interesting how the whole thing starts. Of course, he's presented, some devotees says, this is Cardinal Danilou from the French church and like that.
Very high ranking.
Yeah, it's like he's just under the Pope actually.
Yeah.
And then you immediately have this French. Oh, it's very nice to meet you, and I'm so happy. So, and then Prabhupada said, I have a question for you. What?
I can imagine the recording, but the recording was in the middle, going, like this.
Really, a question for you. Why do you Christians, why do you kill?
Yeah.
There's no formality, no one nice to meet you. Also,
I don't know if the information is correct, but I was around when this conversation took place. And I was informed that soon after Cardinal Daniel was found, dead in a brothel-house.
no, that's not true.
It's not true.
It cannot be, because I have a book.
It's good sometimes to correct it, because this was going around.
Let me check, because I think I have a book where actually he's mentioned from the 80s and 90s. Anyway, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I could check it.
Well, Prabhupada did more in France. I remember the darshan with he got the audience. Prabhupada didn't like this, but there was kind of in desperate, enthusiasm to introduce him to the dignitaries of the society. They arranged for a meeting with the major of Paris. Who was of course one of these French guys who was in a big palace, giving liberally, I think once a week or once a month, an audience to citizens. You could come and register yourself, and then you were placed in a row of chairs. And the majors, it's customary in France, they never leave this Ludwig XIV culture. So he descended the big staircase down, and he was like very liberally discussing with the citizens of the city of Paris. So somewhere they got Prabhupada into that. Prabhupada, I think he was not fully informed what that really means, that format of the whole meeting. He just said, you can meet the major of Paris. Well, that's a good idea, why not? But they didn't tell him that he ends up sitting in a row with chairs with the other people, simply waiting for, for the major coming down and bless the audience, more or less, liberally. So, just before he came down, the information was passed around. Well, it's an etiquette, it's customary. When the major comes down, everybody gets up to greet him. Hello, yeah? It's more or less the most high-ranking officer in town, so Paris is a big town. So, hello. And Prabhupada, with his two disciples sitting next to him in this row of chairs, he said, I will not do it. And to the last second, and the major already came down, and he was like, what? What did he say? And then, as the major came, everybody got up, except Prabhupada. And of course, his disciples also didn't go up, because they were just, following the example of the spiritual masters. They were the only three who remained being seated, which could be considered highly challenging and unpolite in that context. But the result was that the major got so captured by that image, first of all, devotees and devotees, and then they are the only ones who are sitting. Everybody was like, So he got so captured that he actually ignored the other people and went straight to Prabhupada, and he was going, hello, who is you? And Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna, you sit down. And he sat next to him on a chair. And Prabhupada was like counseling him, not completely ignoring the rest of the public. And then was so enchanted, by this Prabhupada's appearance. So it was amazing how Prabhupada could put people right away there where they actually belong, and never submit himself to, to be part of something, which will be actually making Krishna consciousness appear as some kind of cheap decoration, as some kind of fun. Sometimes devotees join this, we have to be entertaining and funny. But Prabhupada was not always entertaining and not always funny. People got very quickly the idea, oh, this is serious. This is real knowledge here. This is something serious. But simultaneously, Prabhupada could be very accommodating. This combination of this heavy knowledge, this body of knowledge he represented, with this smile of an innocent child. Sit down, People are completely disarmed, There were so many facets in Prabhupada's personality which were activated completely unpredictably on Krishna's call. With going and preaching with Prabhupada must have been incredibly and interesting and exciting thing, because you never knew what it is. I was in Prabhupada's preaching program in Germany, nobody came. We rented the whole theater, big stage, nobody came. Just first two rows were full with devotees and their parents. And then Prabhupada came on a stage which was full of devotees, big yasasam, they accommodated him. And then, garlanded him. And Prabhupada gave lecture into this completely empty hall, complete normal lecture, like he gave the lecture. And then he asked for questions. And the only question was some man sitting in the back. I remember he squeaked out, "Do you know Guru Maharaji?" And Prabhupada said, "Who? No." And that was the end of the question and answer session. And then, everybody was, "Oh, Prabhupada." It happened on some occasions, Prabhupada lecturing to empty halls. Prabhupada, once even devotee asked him, "Prabhupada, this was quite depressing, nobody came." And, Prabhupada said, "No, it was full. Whenever we chant and speak about Krishna, all the demigods attend." So it was full hall here. It was completely full. All the demigods were here. It's like, Prabhupada was not discouraged by this ever. So he never cared for the result actually. He cared that the mission is preserved and presented. The result, Prabhupada himself honestly was surprised sometimes. He told to Brahmananda, he said, "Brahmananda, this is big. This movement is big. Look, this big temple. Wow, it's so big." And he was the inspiration and cause, basically, of this whole creation which took place. He never saw it like this. This was so attracting. Prabhupada being like sharing what was given to him by Krishna with us. That was his mood. He said, "Our Krishna, he gave us so much." I just read, in his last days, said, "Well, maybe we are spending a little bit lavishly, because, he was building these temples." He said, "Actually, it was not my mission. My spiritual master didn't told me to build temples in India. He said to preach to to English-speaking people. But that I do like extra, like bonus, because Prabhupada did it for a very clear reason. He wanted his disciples, being exclusively in India, accommodated in ISKCON temples, not to go anywhere else, which is highly violated today. But that was the meaning of the construction of these temples. Otherwise, India has enough temples worshipping Krishna. There's no need of, some other temple. Temple construction is always a problem, huge problem. But to accommodate his disciples in these temples and having our ISKCON with our Krishna sounds separatistic. But the more you study Prabhupada, the more you understand how unique his presentation of Krishna consciousness was. How protective he was to us. Not to introduce us to subjects which were inappropriate for our level of advancement. Prabhupada was very, very protective there. Because he knew, walking Krishna consciousness, on a certain point you understand, it's like a walk on a razor blade. So Prabhupada wanted to make very sure so we don't get, and once again, those actually who disregarded that and went out and, accumulated, put themselves in an inappropriate situation due to the offenses being occurred like this, they finally lost even the basic principle, level of basic principles. First you go to Vrindavan, then you have Dharma association, then you get affiliated with somebody who will tell you that actually you are gopi. You are actually, he will even tell you which gopi you were. Oh yeah. And then you think, wow, that goes fast. I didn't know. I'm that close to the spiritual world. Very nice, very, like this. And then you enter a real and understanding, which is so dangerous that you may find yourself sitting back in the same bar you were sitting before you joined Krishna consciousness, drinking the very same beer, or even worse. You don't even know how we got that. In Germany there's a joke, to go back down into the beer bar back again. It's like,